Welcome to the Fermynwoods Contemporary Art Podcast, guest curated and presented by Subterra. I am your host and one half of Subterra, Marie-Chantal Hamrock. We invite you to get lost in the unknown as we take a stroll through rich woodlands, dark forests, and subterrestrial landscapes. As we navigate these eerie and unfamiliar spaces, we will explore artist talks, discussions, and original commissioned sound art. Welcome to the final episode of Xylophobia. We are closing out the season with a Subterra special, The Ballad of the Fermyn, a radio play written by myself and Astrid Björklund. Told through the voice of the narrator, we are presented with an eccentric cast of characters, living and contending with an ever-disenchanted and hostile landscape, made up of old mines, towering blast furnaces, an inexplicable blackness which seems to spread insidiously, and a strange red substance that emanates from the earth. Among the characters are an unnamed man who searches in desperation for that place, using an old ironstone amulet. Niko and Launo are two hardened characters who seem to have strayed from their community and traverse this landscape alone, speaking wistfully of old times. The Withered Arm is a disembodied human arm working as a barmaid in the Inn of Ill Omens, with its ever-decreasing customers sadly sipping from their frothy pints. The strange man seems to know something sinister no one else does, and plays cruel tricks on those around him. And finally, the Fermyn is an ethereal character who cannot be described in words and has no discernible form, but somehow seems to know more than anyone else about the nature of this dark world. All the while, the narrator begins to lose her grip on reality and starts to question her very own existence. So, without further ado, please enjoy our story, The Ballad of the Fermyn.
Exterior. The dark woods on the outskirts of the town. Day. He gazes for a moment into some undefined space, opens his mouth to speak, and then closes it again, as if thinking better. Instead, he mutters something under his breath, emitting a thick cloud into the otherwise still landscape. A dappled light streams into the woods from the low winter sun and falls onto the frozen ground. Sparkling little raindrops adorn the webs of two spiders who have been crocheting throughout the dead of night, revealing their newest masterpiece to the morning. Of late, the two arachnids have been experimenting with a crochet pattern they've dubbed the hoodwink, and it's proven to be very effective, as well as visually arresting. His eyes dance across this rare beam of light, and amidst the joy he feels from seeing it, he is filled with grief. Recently, the darkness has gotten deeper, and he wonders about this a lot. It is a black obsidian that pervades the land. It seems to seep through every nook and cranny, and gather in pools in shadowy corners. It is deeply embedded in the loam. It almost feels like the material substance of obscurity, undefinable beyond words and beyond representation. Its origin is unknown. But there have been whisperings about the Fermyn, dark deals made with Stuarts and Lloyds about the iron ore in Corby. This secrecy creates property, he thinks, something that is possessed. And in this withdrawal, it gains symbolic capital. It creates hierarchy, elicits awe towards hidden contents. He shakes his head at these conspiratorial thoughts and lays a net and an old ordnance survey map on the mossy floor. In the distance, the large blast furnace splutters and gurgles and emits a puff of black smoke, which seeps insidiously towards the town and slowly evaporates into the atmosphere. Even when it becomes invisible, it hovers like a looming specter, somewhere unseen, to fill the lungs of all the creatures that exist within its ungodly remit. It was, and is, the source of all wealth within this forsaken land, and the source of its slow undoing, as prophesied by the mad stranger. Quote, "The torment within the earth sears like live coals. The fire burning and spewing forth from the undying lands shall not cease." End quote. He reaches into his cloak and finds the lump of hematite that was given to him long ago. It is organ-like, with blood-red bumps bubbling out from its hard surface. It is painfully cold to the touch and surprisingly heavy. He holds it up in the beam of light, observes it for a moment. The light reflects off its rough skin and casts hypnotizing reflections across his face and the surrounding trees. How can something so beautiful cause such darkness? Slowly, he lowers the ferric oxide and hovers it across the map. He feels his body shivering and struggles to keep it completely still, something that the slippery cellar had instructed him to do. What if this is all for nothing? For a while, it hangs there lifeless, and it is difficult to keep his mind and body still. And then, slowly, it begins to move around in small circles. Then bigger and bigger. It is an uncanny motion, erratic and indecisive. He lowers his hand gently and then freezes at what he now sees in front of him. It is as if an invisible string holds the medallion in place at a 45-degree angle. It has made its decision. It points towards the northeastern area of the map. That place.
Have you noticed how the world seems thinner here? As if a curtain is the only thing that keeps you from this world and the other.
Maybe. I'm not sure I feel it. My mother told me stories of this place. It's very old.
Yes, it is ancient. One day the gods will call for her.
For whom?
This place. All of this. Her.
But I thought the light had left this place.
It comes and goes, in different shapes and forms. Nothing cheered us so much as the flowers that lined the roads we walked. Small, silent gods fueled by the nourishing light of the sun. They grew in the gardens of the valley, on the outskirts of the sea, where you can now see that blast furnace towering over the mine. They grew too along the paths of the city, but I haven't seen one in years. Now the city is sinking as smoke still bellows from the ruins.
What happened to them? The flowers?
They died.
Cinders dance, and all is quiet. Meanwhile, interior, inside the tavern called the Inn of Ill Omens, a log fire roars. The regulars sit at the bar, sadly sipping from their frothy drinks. The Withered Arm is certainly a curious barmaid. Her story is one of grief and treachery. Although she is young, her skin hangs in translucent drapes above her feeble muscles. It is told that many years ago, she married a wealthy farmer. Known across the land for her beauty, many regarded the farmer as fortunate to have married such a beautiful arm, he being much older than she. Her beauty inspired such jealousy that an old mistress of the farmer's, a milkmaid, was deeply envious of the arm, for she felt that she deserved to be with the farmer. After all, she had borne a son to him. But the farmer never so much as looked at the child, for whom he felt shame and despair. One night, green with envy, the milkmaid fell asleep and dreamt a terrible dream. In her nightmare, the arm hovered menacingly over her bed in a spectral apparition. In defense, she savagely bit into the floating limb and left a distinctive bite mark just below the elbow. Upon awakening, she shuddered at the vision. And yet, it would appear that this had not been a dream at all, but a dreadful act of unintentional witchcraft. If one looks closely, a deep purple scar can be seen just below the arm's withered elbow.
The wren king of all birds. Until you forever burst. Oh, the tide house that does not end.
There are dead wasps all over the floor. The owl is in the freezer.
Nice to see you.
Nice to be seen.
What can I get you?
I'm very curious about that ale you got there. Oh! And a piece of apple pie to go with that. Please? I feel like one of those young, bright people they write about in the newspaper.
What do you mean?
You know. Like those ones who just achieve something. All giddy and careless about their picture being taken, looking silly with a big bouquet of flowers. An extremely unflattering picture, but filled with a sort of a pure joy, you know?
Okay. So did you achieve anything in particular? So did you... Never mind. How's the pie?
It's fantastic. You know, I don't think I've had a piece of apple pie like this since the Garden of Eden. Does your palm ever itch?
Excuse me?
Your palm. Does it itch?
No.
I observed your hand. It told me you work with the earth.
The maid observes her hand deep in thought and ponders the ingots of iron she and her father would collect from the earth.
I help my father from time to time with his business, but obviously things are different since the dream. Wait, what has that got to do with anything? What is this? A prank?
It was simply an observation. You know who I am. I've heard you say my name in your dreams.
Oh, please help me. Somebody help.
No one is coming. You are alone.
What the fuck?
Well, I should be going. Me seeing you.
objects in the woods are closer than they may appear.
Told you, that is not the sun. It's the furnace. It glows brightly tonight. No, stay inside. We're lucky to have found shelter. We must wait and shield our eyes from that false light.
And you're sure it's not the moon at least?
Oh, it's not the moon. The moon, that selfish bastard. It left us long ago. Our only light comes from the glowing embers of that detestable material. That one which we cannot live without.
But I guess I just wanted to hope. Hope for something.
Hope? The days of hope are long gone. I found your optimism insufferable. Get the map.
Okay, you know that thin place you spoke of? I can't help but feel that thinness is dissolving into nothing. Unreachable. Oh, I feel like we're walking in circles.
This land plays tricks on us. We must seek guidance from within us, so we don't stray from our path. See this? A few more days, and we'll reach the ancient grounds of the Fermyn. Our answers will be found there, of that I am sure.
You said the same thing about the last place we visited, stubborn old man.
What was that? Speak up.
Oh, nothing.
Can you sense it?
Sense what?
The smell of death in the afternoon rain.
writers wish to call special attention to the Fermyn, a creature never previously committed to paper or audio recording. The Fermyn is a shadowy character whose form is difficult to convey. The creature, often identified by its high-pitched voice, is said to originate from a common wren or troglodyte. It is not known exactly how this little bird transformed into this infamous spectral being, but there is speculation. Always dwelling near the earth, the wren was drawn to the iron mines. That place which is, or was, so defined by being the butt of the joke, sneered at for being lowly and dark, and ruled mercilessly by 4 queens: Anne, Vicky, Mary, and Bess, who claimed the lives of many men. As the story goes, it was in that fragile underworld, where time seemed to stand still, and black particles spread their tendrils through the lungs of men, that the wren happened upon a large, red, bubbling ironstone, and a small man who resembled a star-nosed mole. The colossal blood-like rock seemed to breathe and glow, as if being the heart of the industry itself. The star-nosed mole man, who the wren later learned to be a metallurgist, would sit on a 3-legged milking stool, slowly cranking a big iron wheel to the right, pumping the dark red substance out of the huge iron rock and letting it seep into steel tubes, and that disappeared into the black soil. Sighing, heaving, beating. This organ was the exhausted muscle of the iron industry, giving momentum to a cruel world that profited off the most vulnerable while destroying the mineral-rich land. The place where this biological structure would beat, the hum of which could be felt reverberating at the surface, if one took the time to listen, was the innermost, the terra submersus. This place and this thing was her.
Blood in the soil! Blood in the soil!
Well, what have we got here? Oh, this is a very dark quarter. A little friend at my doorstep yet again, I know what to do with you. You shall no longer be a wren. From this day forth, you shall be a Fermyn.
I am the Fermyn, and I sound like this.
There are candles in the dark and cold voices. Mournful chants reach out for poor men's souls. Voices of children and women weeping. And so time passes down in the mines. Day follows day, and the black dust gathers. His own tomb crumbles around him as time gnaws it, and his kith and kindred dwindle. Deep in the mine, the lights of the soul flicker and go out. The world around withers, and the dust rises in hollow winds. The candles are quenched. Cold death falls upon the forsaken soul.
That's awfully cheery.
It is the truth, spoken by the Fermyn. If you had spent more time in the deep, you would have witnessed these true horrors. Same as me, you would understand.
If you witnessed the true horrors, you wouldn't be here now.
Says who?
Well, everyone. They don't... My Nobody has seen them and lived to tell the tale, old fool. Or if they do say they have, they are liars. Nobody comes back from the deep. My Dasher didn't.
He was weak.
Don't you dare!
But you're not. You're a fighter. Let's keep walking. We're close. I can feel it.
I feel terribly alone, as if someone can hear my thoughts, as if the deepest and darkest part of my soul were on display to a strange, smiling audience. Such terrible smiles. I can feel them leaning forward, cupping their ears, not missing a beat. I am on display. A spectral crowd is watching me with eager eyes, as if being instructed to do so. Some deep part of my very being has fallen into the wrong hands. Something is tugging at me, grasping at me for secret information. I wither like the arm, and you know what she did. Anyway, as the story goes, the man observes his map and notices a strange blob of red deep in the northeastern corner of the woods. At first, he thinks he has cut himself and checks his fingers for any sign of bleeding, but notices no such scrapes or wounds. No, this mark has been inked in with sinister intention. He can faintly make out a cursive script beside the blotch. The only running footman. Do you hear that? Legend says that if you hear the sweet song of the wren, the Fermyn might be lurking nearby. I have been searching for so long. It always manages to escape my grasp, turning into nothing but shapeless forms that slip through my fingers. It must hate to be seen, to be known, to be heard. So shy, and oh, so timid.
You make it sound so easy when you describe me this way.
I'm so confused right now.
That's okay. I'm not.
This isn't really supposed to happen.
You have chosen to bring me out into the light, and so I shall drag you from the shadows with me. Do you really know what I am? In this world, you know me as the Fermyn, and I sound like this. I exist.
I exist too.
This is clear. Tell me what it's like for you.
What it's like?
Existing.
It's difficult to describe.
I will tell you what it is like for me. Above me, light twinkles in every direction, a kaleidoscopic rainbow, colors. Oh, so many colors. No such things grow here. I am between nether and ether, neither and either. I am where dead winds blow and shadows grow. There are things alive, but nothing moves. My home is a darkness, a thing being intruded upon. Transient, dim, cold.
Intruded upon by what?
Traces of plants and animals, sensations. Swarms of sounds, tiny vibrations under my skin. But they are far away, shrouded behind some white cloak. A distant threshold. They speak of complexities beyond understanding. I exceed their existence by millions of years. This prehistoric existence is cold and it's wet, but most of all it is dark. I am at the end of a narrow tunnel, alone, weightless, so light I am nothing. A diaphanous lace of personhood. I certainly do not have a soul, and if I did, it would ache.
My soul aches.
For whom?
I don't know.
You can truly understand the horror of carrying a soul. I do not fear it, but I do not understand it. My soul was eaten, an act of baptism, but they carry their souls around their necks. A litany of mental fights. I feel great empathy for you, yet I doubt you carry a soul.
Why are you telling me all of this? Where do you come from? All of this? The world?
Not even the birds know that. Shh, don't tell the wrens.
But I need to know.
Why? A question like this is far too damp and thick. How do you sigh without inhaling a mouthful of your question's vapor? If it was a leaf, you could put it in your mouth, chew it up, taste it, and spell out the complexities of a century's worth of unanswered questions. Or perhaps it is a mineral that has stewed deep in the chasms of the abysmal dark. I know the bottom. I know it as if it were the back of my little hand.
Are you the answer I seek?
No, you are the answer. There is a moral to our encounter. I am a relatively harmless life form, while you are an extreme, all-engulfing, disembodied madness. You are consciousness personified, a volatile nervous system, unpredictable, chaotic. The undying lands, too, came with you into the world screaming and crying and covered in viscous red placenta. No one remembers it before you. I've heard talk. There is a unanimous agreement between the birds and the plants that they are going to destroy us all.
So, the undying lands were created by humans?
It is a nervous and fragmented shadow cast into the world by them, eating away at reality, your beloved mistress. This is a great, uncertain territory. Its birth coincides with the arrival of the human mind. The shivering reality of their spirits drive adrift and wither. In the red room there was a blue sky which was painted over in red. When night sets, the stones return to the earth, and in the morning work again, swimming through chaos to find the world. This is where their spirits live.
I don't understand. Oh, I feel so damn shadowy. All this time I have been looking for you, but I'm not sure what to make of it now that you are here. It makes no sense. And what of my voice? It seems pointless.
Your voice has given life to many creatures. That does not seem pointless to me.
If it's not pointless, then what is the point?
Always it's the same. Pestering like children for the wrong details, and then they pay no attention to the answers. I am tired of the tears and laughter that my answers bring. Tired of woos with music that could kill insects with its frequency. Tired of prayers that are directed towards me, but are meant for something far greater than me. I am fed up with their calls, all calling my name, Fermyn, Fermyn. And my name was strange, and my friends were strange. I appear, and then earth opens up and pulls me down back again into the nether. I am lost, like you. I might not even exist. If you blink, I might disappear. Please don't blink. If the light returns, it will be agonizing.
gods will call for her.
For whom?
This place. All of this. Her.
But I thought the light had left this place.
It comes and goes, and disenchantable forms.
Help me.
It is getting dark. We need to rest. Go on, get a fire going.
Pesky beasts. I hope they stay away from our camp. We used to eat them, you know, me and my ma. And now they're eating us.
Don't mind them. They're not interested in people infected by the black tar. They're just curious. Have you noticed how the world seems thinner here?
A strange, rainbow-like effect begins to warp and bend, morphing the trees into unsettling, arching shapes. A blazing glow from the furnace in the distance illuminates the oval-like shape of this mesmerizing and watery lens. It distorts the surrounding woods so that they hang in a crooked and menacing way above the ground, their branches like grasping and spindly fingers. Behind this distorted speculum, the vague silhouette of the Fermyn becomes visible, magnified with such brilliance that it is blinding.
Nice to be seen.
Interior. Exterior. That place, a crumbling ruin in the woods, surrounded by barren trees and infertile soil. Strange, rumbling sounds emerge from the ground at times, and red, foaming liquid rises and falls, drenching the land like an underground sea of blood.
Oh, the maid went down to the well for to wash, and the dew fell down from her snow-white flesh. The dew fell down from her snow-white flesh as the sun shone down so early. And as she washed, as she rang, she hung them out on a hazel wand. She hung them out on a hazel wand. When by there come a strange, strange man. Oh, I know where she buried the bodies. She didn't even try to deceive me, silly woman. All 9 of them in the woods. Where is this bloody Fermyn, for Christ's sake?
A twig snaps. For him, days had become weeks, and weeks had become months. A year might have passed, maybe 2. Time is not something easily discerned when there is neither sun nor moon to be seen in the sky. In frustration, the man roars. roars and shakes his fist in the foggy air towards the hungry black clouds that have lingered above him, keeping a watchful eye. He is exhausted. Keeping his course along the perilous path through barren wastelands, he trusts blindly still in the iron artifact that had led him to this place. A place he can feel so deep in the marrow of his bones. Who goes there? The man shouts sharply into the fog. There is no reply. There is only the hollow wind.
Have you noticed how the world seems thinner here? Have you noticed how the world seems thinner here? Have you noticed how the world seems thinner here? Have you noticed how the world seems? As if a curtain is the only thing that keeps you from this world and the other. As if a curtain.
Launo, where are you?
As if a curtain is the only thing that keeps you from this world. One day the gods will call for her. They died.
Launo!
They died.
Oh, the maid went down to the well for to wash. The Jews fell down from a snow-white flash. The Jews fell down from a snow-white flash as the sun come down so early. And as she washed, as she ran, she hung the mouth on a hazel wand. She hung the mouth on a hazel wand.
There was an old woman and she lived in the woods. We love, Warlia. There was an old woman and she lived in the woods, down by the river. I remember when they knocked on my door. Not just ingots buried under our land. And that was the end of the woman in the woods. We love, Warlia. And that was the end of the woman in the woods, down by the river.
The Willow Brook rises north of Corby, where, until 1980, water was extracted for use at Corby Steelworks.
And my name was strange. And my friends were strange.
Fermyn! Please, tell me. Am I real? Tell me.
Although you are absolute, you most certainly are not real.
These are the Fermyn's woods. These are the Fermyn's woods. Don't you know? Don't you know? Don't you know? I can feel you, Fermyn. I know you're here.
Always it's the same.
Oh, that blast furnace is so bright. I've never seen so much light.
They die.
Unless you are of a friendly nature, nobody knocks on your door and says, you're new. Would you like a cup of coffee? What a brash little place this world is. Castles in the air. Have you yourselves got daydreams and castles in the air? Think for a moment. Most of us have. Oh, those little bright imaginary places. Full of love and oh so full of light.
Astrid and I would like to thank the following people for their contribution to this sound work. Our dear friend Alistair Watson for generously playing the role of Launo, my mother Deirdre Breen for playing the role of the Withered Arm, and my brother Fergal Hamrock for voicing the Strange Man. Without all of your help, we would not have been able to bring this world to life. We would also like to mention that the voice of the narrator was an AI voice which we accessed through 11 labs, so she really was never real at all. I would also like to specifically mention Astrid for all the hard work that she has done behind the scenes for this season of the podcast, and for this episode specifically. Although we wrote this work together, Astrid brought it to life through editing. Cheers to you, Astrid, for composing all of the beautiful music throughout this piece, and for voicing the metallurgist and the Fermyn. Accompanying images for this episode are at our website. There are links to all of this in the episode description, as always. Listeners on Spotify are able to experience an accompanying video to this episode by artist Sapphire Goss. And for listeners on other platforms, you can find Sapphire's work on our website. All of this will be included in the episode description. Sapphire Goss is a multimedia artist who uses obsolete technologies to explore experimental materiality in hybrid collaborative forms to make work that grows, decays, and lives beyond the screen. She creates chimerical imagery using unexpected materials, looping and processing to make an analog uncanny, resulting in grainy, shimmering, otherworldly bursts of light and emotion, both moving and mysterious, and the perfect accompaniment for our audio work. Thank you for listening to the Fermynwoods Contemporary Art Podcast. If you enjoy our podcast, please make sure to positively rate, review, and subscribe. It helps other people find the podcast, and it makes us feel really good about ourselves. This is the final episode of the podcast series of Xylophobia, Fermynwoods Contemporary Art's 2-year programme funded by Arts Council England. Visit fermynwoods.org for more information on this programme and to sign up to our monthly email newsletter. Follow us at Fermynwoods on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And make sure to check out myself and Astrid as Subterra at Subterrestrials on Instagram. Thank you for listening. It has been such a pleasure working on this podcast together, and we are delighted to have been able to share it with you. With love and light, Marie and Astrid.